Since we have registrants from all over the world, I will start with good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 NNI Strategic Planning Workshop, and we welcome you to help us chart the path forward. I'm Lisa Friedersdorf, Director of the National Nanotechnology Coordination Office. For some context, this workshop follows a lot of other activity. A couple of years ago, as required by the Nanotechnology R&D Act, we commissioned a study by the national academies, and we asked, among other things, should the NNI continue or has it served its purpose? Their careful study released last spring determined yes, the NNI remains critically important and it should continue. They pointed out some things that we've done well and some things that we could do better. And they recommended that we restructure the NNI, and that is what we are here to discuss today. In response to the Academy's report, several interagency teams were established to address specific topics, and they worked throughout the spring and the summer. That work informed a request for information that we released in the fall. We received a lot of thoughtful and very useful feedback. Based on all of that work, we have designed this workshop to further engage with the community. The discussions over the next 3 days and all of the work from last year will inform the next NNI strategic plan. That plan, set to be released later this year as required by the Nano Act, will reflect any changes in the structure and the framework of the initiative. As a quick refresher, the National Nanotechnology Initiative is a collaborative R&D initiative that now involves 20 departments, independent agencies, and commissions who work together toward the shared vision of a future in which the ability to understand and control matter at the nanoscale leads to a revolution in technology and industry that benefits society. The agencies work together toward 4 goals: advance a world-class nanotechnology research and development program, foster the transfer of new technologies into products for commercial and public benefit, develop and sustain educational resources, a skilled workforce, and a dynamic infrastructure and tool set to advance nanotechnology, and to support responsible development. And this includes both the environmental health and safety aspects of nanotechnology, as well as the ethical, legal, and societal issues. The NNI, the office where I sit, provides administrative and technical support to the Interagency Subcommittee that operates within the National Science and Technology Council, the NSTC, of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. The NNCO also serves as the point of contact or the public face of the NNI and engages with the community. We maintain nano.gov, so I hope that you are well familiar with that resource. So we are thrilled to have more than 400 registrants for this workshop to help us understand the needs of the nanotechnology community, now more than 20 years since the launch of the National Nanotechnology Initiative. So before I turn it over to Andy Schwartz, who's going to be moderating the first panel, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping. First, there are 2 links located just under the video player, so just under where you see me. The tech support link is on the right, and that is available for communication with the tech support team should you experience any technical issues. On the left, and this is really important, I want to point out, on the left is a link for emailing questions. We want to hear from you. We really want this workshop to be as engaging as possible. So please email questions to the presenters and the panel moderators early. As soon as you have these ideas, please send them in before each session ends. So just to go over the flow of the workshop. So day 1 will feature 2 panels where the next up is going to be focused on research and development. And then later this afternoon, we will hear the nanotechnology development pathway. For both panels, we'll have a series of presentations followed by a moderated discussion. So as you have those ideas during the presentations, please send them in so we can line up your questions for the discussion part. So day one's focused on really the vision looking forward. Day two, we will focus on how to pursue that articulated vision. It will include a keynote presentation from Sangeeta Bhatia and 5 concurrent breakout sessions. Breakout conversations will explore effective mechanisms to advance research and development, strategies for communication, and priority topics to shape future directions. So the 5 sessions are focused on research and development, commercialization, physical and cyber infrastructure, education and workforce development, and responsible development. So on day 3, we will discuss how to define success, evaluate progress, and to measure impact. This will be followed by a keynote presentation from Chad Merkin and a closing discussion. So please stick around until the very end. So one more thing before I hand it over to Andy to start the first panel. The physical and cyber infrastructure plays such a critical role in enabling the nanotechnology ecosystem, as we all know. We have posted 3 presentations, about 10 minutes each, that share information about 3 networks that support the infrastructure. About NanoHub, the NSF-funded National Nanotechnology Coordinated Infrastructure, and the DOE Nanoscale Science and Research Centers, the NSRCs. We invite you to take a few minutes tonight or tomorrow morning to review these presentations in advance of the breakout sessions tomorrow. These presentations are available on nano.gov, and you can also find them you can find the link on the workshop webpage, which is just on the very front page of nano.gov on the left-hand side. You should be able to find that. So I want to kick off the next 3 days by first thanking everyone who has pre-recorded presentations and helped to prepare for this workshop, and to all of you who have signed in. I look forward to a very productive 3 days with all of you. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Andy Schwartz. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for that introduction, and welcome to everybody who is participating. It is wonderful to see, well, we can't actually see you, but to know that there are many hundreds of you out there listening. This is a really important exercise for us. This workshop is incredibly valuable, and we're looking forward to the next 3 days. My name is Andy Schwartz. As Lisa said, I'm at the Department of Energy in the Office of Basic Energy Sciences. I also currently serve as one of the 2 agency co-chairs of the Interagency Coordinating Committee for the National Nanotechnology Initiative. So this introduction, as Lisa said, is about R&D. It is really related to what Lisa said, Goal 1 of the NNI, to advance a world-class R&D program. I think this has been one of the goals of the NNI since the inception 20 plus years ago. And I think we pretty broad consensus that this continues to be an important goal of the NNI. And the purpose of this discussion, this panel, is to really start a conversation or continue a conversation about the challenge, but also opportunity to chart the nano R&D pathway for the next decade. It's big, as we know. Nano R&D spans an incredibly broad and diverse technology and science space. We've assembled what we think is a really exciting panel of 4 people, but recognizing that no 4 people, I think, can really cover the breadth of nanotechnology. I'm sure there are those of you out there listening who are going to say, hey, my piece of nano isn't represented, and we apologize for that in advance, but I think what we're going to hear here is lots of exciting ideas about the general space in which nanotechnology could go in the future. So I'm going to briefly introduce our 4 panelists now, and then each of them has recorded a roughly 10 to 12 minute introductory remarks. We're going to listen to those sequentially, and then we'll come back for Q&A with the panelists. As Lisa mentioned, you can submit your questions via the link on your window. I think she said it was on the left. I apologize. if I got that wrong, but there's a link for submitting questions which are submitted by email. I'd encourage you to submit those during the presentations as you come up with them so that we have a list of questions teed up for the discussion with the panelists. So again, we have four exciting panelists discussing four different parts of the nanotechnology ecosystem, and I'll go through them in the order in which they will present. Again, I'm going to introduce all of them, and then we'll hear their presentations. First is Pedro Alvarez. He's a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Rice University. He's also the founding director of an NSF Center, Engineering Research Center on nanotechnology-enabled water treatment. His research interests include environmental implications and applications of nanotechnology, bioremediation, fate and transport of toxic chemicals, water footprints of biofuels, water treatment and reuse, and antibiotic resistance control. The second presentation will be from Professor Sherry Kagan at the University of Pennsylvania. She's a professor of electrical and systems engineering, also a professor of material science and engineering, and a professor of chemistry. Her research is focused on studying chemical and physical properties of nanostructured materials and integrating these materials into electronic, optoelectronic, and optical devices. Third presentation will be from Kurt Kolozinski, professor at Westchester University, professor of chemistry, at Westchester University. His research focuses on the development of new methods for production of nanostructures and porous solids by the application of etching, laser ablation, and growth. And finally, Professor Carmen Gomez from the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Iowa State University. Her research focuses on both fundamental and more applied research in functional delivery systems and biosensors in the areas of food safety, shelf life extension of food products, and nutrient bioavailability. So I think already with those brief introductions, you've heard of the diversity of the panel by design. Again, it's impossible with four people to cover the true breadth of the NNI, but I think we're in for some exciting discussions here. Each of them has a nice introduction to their space and their vision for where the NNI and R&D can and will go in the next decade. And with that, I think I'll stop talking because everyone would rather hear from these four panelists. We'll play the introductory remarks, and then we'll come back for a panel discussion. So please, if you have questions, enter them as we go, and we'll have a nice discussion afterwards. Thanks very much.